Stock market can be a very confusing place for a lot of beginners, and if you are someone who is just starting out and you're feeling overwhelmed, you are not alone. It's not your fault. See, first of all, we don't get any practical understanding of stock market from our schools and our colleges, right? The only chapter that I can remember from my school days was called Shares and Debentures. And the only thing that I remember about that chapter was how boring it was, right? Because in schools and in our colleges, they only talk about the theoretical aspects of stock market. But when we grow up and we get a job, we start earning money, it is at that point of time that we realize that stock market is important, investing is important. I need to know this if I have to secure my financial future. So it is at that point of time that we wake up all of a sudden and we realize that we have to really learn this. This is serious. But the struggle that most of us have is that there is no structured way of learning stock market, first of all. And secondly, we are constantly bombarded with all these different jargons, right? So we get so much overwhelmed that we don't know what we are doing. And we don't even have the confidence that whatever we are doing, it is the right thing to do or not. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about money, right? So if you take wrong decisions, you're going to lose money, and that can be of very serious consequence. So that is why I thought, why not we create a crash course where we can explain stock market concepts using practical real life examples so that even an absolute beginner, right? Someone who is just starting out with no prior understanding of stock market, no prior understanding of finance can still understand and comprehend these concepts, right? So we will do this in plain simple English, no hi-fi jargons, no complicated terminology, plain simple common sense, and I will guarantee that you're going to understand each and every aspect just like a kid learns how to play a video game. So we will do this crash course in 3 parts. This is going to be the part 1 where we will start with the absolute basics, right? And part 2 and part 3 will be covering the intermediate and advanced concepts of stock market. And at the end of each of these videos, we will have quizzes and we will have very short, simple, but very interesting assignments so that you can see whatever you have learned. First of all, you have understood those concepts. And secondly, can you apply those concepts in real life? Right? So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very engaging. I will take tons of real life examples. So I'm very excited to share all this knowledge with you guys. So without any further ado, let's get going. So we all know about the matchmaking websites such as Shaadi.com and Jeevansathi.com. But today I'm going to tell you about a place where millions of matches are made every day. And it doesn't take several weeks or several months to match either. In fact, the matchmaking here happens within a fraction of a second. So in case you're wondering, no, I'm not talking about another matrimonial website. I'm talking about the stock exchanges. Now the stock exchanges are the biggest matchmakers in the whole world. Except of course, they are not matching brides and grooms. They are matching buyers with sellers. So if you want to buy shares of a company, they will find the perfect seller for you. And if you want to sell your shares, they will find the perfect buyer for you. And you don't even have to go anywhere, right? You don't have to call anyone. Just place the order online through your phone or through your computer, and the stock exchange will do the rest. Now, every country has at least one big stock exchange. UK, for example, has London Stock Exchange. US has 2 major stock exchanges, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. Similarly, India also has 2 major stock exchanges, National Stock Exchange or NSE and Bombay Stock Exchange or BSE. Now, BSE is a very old stock exchange, right? I mean, it was established back in 1875, right before independence. And NSE compared to BSE is relatively very new. It was founded in 1992. Now, apart from these two, there are some other smaller regional stock exchanges. But for all practical intents and purposes, you don't have to worry about them. You just need to know about NSE and BSE. Now, between these two exchanges, should you buy your shares from BSE or should you buy from NSE? This is a question that a lot of beginners ask. Well, think of it this way. Let's say you want to buy a Samsung phone and it's available on both Amazon and Flipkart at the same price and at the same terms and conditions. So will it matter whether you buy it from Amazon or whether you buy it from Flipkart? No, right? Because you get the exact same thing at the same price. In the same way, most of the well-known companies are listed on both the exchanges. Reliance, for example, right? It is listed on BSE and it is listed on NSE. So if I have to buy shares of Reliance, I can go and buy it from NSE or I can buy it from BSE. It doesn't really matter. So if you are an investor, buy it from either of these exchanges, it doesn't really make any difference. However, if you are a trader, then yes, there are some key differences between these two exchanges, and I have explained that in a separate video. You might want to check it out. Okay, so going back to buying the shares. So how do we actually buy shares from NSE or BSE? Do we have to physically go to the stock exchange, or can we go to the website of these stock exchanges and place orders there? Or do these stock exchanges have some kind of an app? Like, how do we actually buy and sell the shares? Well, we cannot directly buy and sell shares from the stock exchanges. And there are a lot of reasons behind that, but one of the most practical reasons is that the stock exchanges, they don't want to directly deal with millions of customers. That is just too much for them to handle. So what they do is they authorize certain brokers through which people can place their orders. So a broker, as the name suggests, is the middleman between you and the stock exchange. So if you have to buy and sell shares of a company, we basically log into the broker's terminal and place the order, and the broker in turn sends that order to the stock exchange. Now in India, we have hundreds of brokers. I'm sure you would have heard some of them. Upstocks, Angel Broking, Sharekhan, ICICI Direct, Zerodha, right? So basically what you have to do is you have to open an account with one of these brokers in order to be able to buy and sell shares. Now the good news here is that the account opening process has become very easy nowadays, right? So just go to any broker's website, submit a few documents online, and you can open an account within 15 to 20 minutes. Back in my days, it used to take several weeks to open a broking account. Now this broking account that you open with the broker is also called the trading account. So let's take a real life example to understand all these terms that we have talked about so far. So let's say I want to buy 1000 shares of Reliance. So the first thing that I will do is I will log into my broker's account. Now the broker in this case is Zerodha. So this right here is my trading account. Now for buying 1000 shares of Reliance, I need to have some money in my account, right? I mean, how else will I pay for these 1000 shares? I cannot expect to get them for free, right? So the first thing that I need to do is to transfer money from my bank account to this trading account. Now at the time of opening of this trading account with Zerodha, I had given them the details of my Axis Bank account. So my Axis Bank account and Zerodha's trading account, they are both linked. So what that means is that I can transfer money from my Axis Bank to Zerodha, and I can take the money out of my Zerodha account and transfer it back to my Axis Bank account. So in my case here, if I have to buy, let's say 1000 shares of Reliance, I need to have at least 20 lakh rupees in my account, right? So if I don't have enough funds in my trading account, what I can do is I can come here and I'm going to click on add funds, and then I can transfer the amount that I need to buy these shares from my bank account, right? So from here, I can log into my bank account, give the credentials, and transfer the funds that I need to buy these shares. And the best part here is that the transfer of funds happen immediately. I don't have to wait for anything. Similarly, if I have some excess cash in my trading account, what I can do is I can transfer the money out of this trading account back to my bank account, right? So for that, I will use the withdraw button. So this is how we can keep transferring funds between the bank account and the trading account. Okay, good. So now I have the money in my trading account to buy 1000 shares of Reliance. So I'm all set. So now what I have to do is I have to place an order, and it is very, very simple. Let me show you. So on this left hand side, this is the place where I can search for the stocks that I want to buy and sell. So in this case, I will search for Reliance. Now when I search for Reliance, and you can ignore some of these other entries, I will talk about these things in the later sessions. Right at the top, I see two options. I can buy the shares of Reliance from NSE, or I can buy the shares of Reliance from BSE. Now let me add both of these to see if there is any difference in price between BSE and NSE, right? It's just like buying that phone, right? I mean, if I have to buy the phone, I would like to buy it from the place where it's selling for cheap. But in this case, as you can see, that the price of Reliance on BSE and on NSE is almost exactly the same. And this is what basically happens for all the major companies, right? The prices are almost exactly the same on both the exchanges. Once in a while, there might be like a 5 paisa or 10 paisa kind of a difference, but most of the time, the differences are very negligible. So what that basically means that I can buy it from anywhere, doesn't really matter. So let me pick NSE. Now just take a look at this order entry screen. Here I'm giving the instruction to my broker, how many shares that I want to buy and at what price. And there are some other things that I can also specify here. So once I'm done with specifying my instructions, I can place this order. Now, as soon as I place this order, here is what happens behind the scenes. So my broker Zerodha takes that order, sends it to the stock exchange, NSE in this case, and then NSE in turn matches me to a seller who is willing to sell 1000 shares of Reliance at the price that I had specified. And the moment NSE finds a seller which matches exactly with my criteria, it matches me with that seller. And as soon as the matchmaking is over, the order gets complete. Now from this point, two things will happen. That 20 odd lakh rupees will be debited from my trading account and it will be credited to the seller's account. And 1000 shares of Reliance will be taken from the seller's account and it will be transferred to me. Simple, right? And once the transfer of these shares have happened, these shares will now show up in the holdings tab of my trading account, right? So here I can see the details of all the shares that I hold. Like this is my whole portfolio, right? So guys, this is basically what happens every single hour, every single minute, every single second during the market hours, right? People place their orders through their brokers send the orders to the stock exchange, and the stock exchanges in turn matches those orders. And there are literally billions of transactions that happen during the day throughout the world. So guys, one of the things that we have to realize, and it is really so important, our single point of contact is the broker, because we are only interacting with our broker, right? We don't interact with the stock exchange. We don't interact with the buyer or seller on the other side, right? We just deal with the broker. And that is why it is very important for us to pick a broker that we can trust. And there are several factors that go in selection of a broker. So if you guys want us to make a video on how to select the right broker for you, what criteria to consider, let us know in the comments below and we will be happy to make a video on that topic. Okay, good. So going back to our example, so I wanted to buy 1000 shares of Reliance. I got them. I'm happy. I'm hoping to make money, right? So everything is good. But wait a second. Hold on. What is this share, right? So I bought these 1000 shares of Reliance, right? What exactly did I buy? Well, share is exactly what it sounds like. The share in the company, the ownership of the company. So when I bought shares of Reliance, I basically became a shareholder of the company, a part owner of the company. So in my case, I'm a proud owner of Reliance, just like Mukesh Ambani. Super cool, right? But that doesn't of course mean that I can walk into Reliance office or I can walk into Mr. Mukesh Ambani's office and ask them for money, right? So technically, even though I am a shareholder, I'm a part owner, I cannot exercise my right as an owner to just, go and ask for money. So some of you might be wondering that, okay, what is the point of buying the shares of Reliance? What is the point of calling yourself as a shareholder or the part owner if you cannot get money from Reliance or from Mr. Ambani? Well, a shareholder makes money in two ways. Very important, guys. Please pay attention. Very, very important. The number one way a shareholder makes money is if the share price of the company goes up. So in my case, if the share prices of Reliance, let's say, goes from 2000 to let's say 3000 or 4000 or 10,000, I can sell these shares at a higher price and make a profit. Right? So that is the most common way a shareholder makes money. And the second way a shareholder makes money is through dividends, which is the profits that the companies occasionally distribute among its investors. So Reliance, for example, can say that, okay, we made so much money this year and we would like to distribute some of these profits among our shareholders. In that case, they will distribute these profits to the shareholder, including myself, and I will make some money through dividends as well. Now on dividends specifically, we have made an awesome video. Do check it out to understand exactly how dividends work. So those were the two benefits of being a shareholder. But not every shareholder is like you and me. In fact, there are three types of shareholders: promoters, big institutions, and retail investors. Promoters are usually the people who started the company or are currently running the company, right? So in case of Reliance, the promoters are of course the Ambani family, and they hold about 50% of shares in Reliance. Then we have the big institutions. So institutions such as mutual funds, hedge funds, government sometimes, right? So these guys are buying the shares of Reliance on behalf of their investors. Now these institutions can further be classified into domestic and foreign, depending on whether they are Indian or from outside of India, right? So in case of Reliance, the domestic institutions, they hold about 15% of shares, and the foreign institutions, they hold about 25%. So in total, the institutional holding in Reliance is about 40%. Now, last but not the least comes the retail investors like you and me who have bought the shares of Reliance in the expectation that the stock prices will go up or maybe we will get some dividends. And by buying these 1000 shares, I have joined this esteemed group of investors who account for about 10% of shares in Reliance. Okay, so that's good. So we know the different types of shareholders, right? But let's just go back to the shares that we bought, right? So I bought these shares of Reliance, right? How exactly will I get my shares? Will I get some kind of a document or a share certificate sent out to my home? So how do I know? How do I keep track of the shares that I have purchased? Well, there was a time when people used to get physical certificates of shares. So I remember, 30 years ago, my dad bought shares of a company called Binani Cement, and we got the physical share certificate delivered at home, and they looked awesome, and I got super excited looking at them. But those were the olden days of paper certificates. Now we are living in a digital world. Everything has become electronic, right? So now the shares are bought and sold only in the electronic format. And looking back, there are a lot of benefits of having shares stored in the digital format, right? Number one is, of course, there is no risk of losing it or damaging it, right? So it cannot get stolen. Number two, there is no risk of forgery or, faking of the share certificates. I mean, you will be surprised how many of these, scams used to happen by fake share certificates. So now we don't have any risk of that happening. And lastly, the transfer of shares from one account to the other has become extremely easy. So let's say you want to transfer shares from your account to your daughter's account. You can easily do that online. But where exactly are these shares stored? Are they stored in the trading account with the broker, or are they stored in my bank account? So in my case, I bought these 1000 shares of Reliance. Are they going to be stored in my Zerodha's trading account or in my Axis Bank account? And this is something a lot of people don't understand. So please listen very carefully. Please understand very carefully, because this is very important. The shares are neither stored with the broker nor are they stored in any bank account. So in my case, the shares are not going to be stored with Zerodha, nor are they going to reflect in my Axis Bank account. So first of all, the shares are not stored with any broker, because that would be very dangerous, right? What if the broker shuts down their business tomorrow, right? So Zerodha, for example, Khuda na khasta, goes out of business tomorrow. My shares will also be gone with them, right? So how do I chase them to get my shares back? That's going to be a big hassle. So that is the reason that the brokers are not allowed to keep any shares with them, and neither are the shares stored in the bank account. So where exactly are the shares stored then? Well, the shares are actually stored in a completely different safe account called a DMAT account. DMAT is an acronym for dematerialized, which is just a fancy name for electronic or digital, right? So this is the place where the shares are actually stored. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, hold on. In a tab called Holdings, you showed me all the shares that you bought in the Zerodha account. Now, why are you telling me that they are not stored in Zerodha account? That is true. It's a very good observation. But even though you can see the shares that you bought in your trading account or in Zerodha's account, the shares are actually stored in the DMAT account. So think of the DMAT account as a bank account for your shares. That's where the shares are really stored. Now in India, there are only two companies as of now that are authorized to open DMAT accounts, CDSL and NSDL. So every broker basically has to tie up with one of these companies. Zerodha, for example, has tied up with CDSL. So when I opened a trading account with Zerodha, they also opened a DMAT account with CDSL. So now when I buy any shares through Zerodha, the shares that I buy will eventually be stored in my CDSL's DMAT account. So basically the Zerodha's trading account and the CDSL's DMAT account, they are linked, they are connected. So let me show you guys real quick. So this is my trading account with Zerodha, right? So you have seen this already. Now see this. This is my DMAT account with CDSL. So for logging into this account, I have to first of all go to CDSL's website and log in. By the way, the account credentials here, they are completely different than the credentials of my Zerodha account, right? So the user ID and password are going to be completely different. So once I log in, now I can see all the shares that I have bought through Zerodha. So this is the real account where the shares are stored. Now, some of you might be thinking that, okay, I have a trading account with a broker and also have this DMAT account. So how do they all work together? So for that, guys, let's take a look at the big picture. And this is very important. Please pay attention. So this right here is me, and I opened a trading account with Zerodha. And at the time of opening this account, I also connected my bank account with this trading account, right? And when Zerodha's trading account was opened, they also opened a demat account for me through CDSL. So this is where my shares will be stored. So when I place the buy order from Zerodha for those 1000 shares of Reliance, Zerodha sent that order to the stock exchange, NSE in my case. And then of course, NSE matched me to a seller. And after this transaction was complete, the money from my trading account got deducted and it got transferred to the seller's account. And those 1000 shares of Reliance, they got deducted, they got transferred from the demat account of the seller to my demat account. Right, so guys, this is the big picture. Please take a moment to understand how this overall picture looks like. Now, the one thing to note about demat account is that you don't really have to log into your demat account to do anything from a day-to-day perspective, because a demat account and the trading account are linked. So all the shares that are available in the demat account, they are also visible in my trading account. So for buying and selling of the shares, I only have to log into my trading account. So guys, if you have made it so far, then congratulate yourself, because you have learned a lot, really a lot. And trust me, now you know more about the stock market than an average person in India, right? But we are not done yet, right? Let's not rest on our laurels. There are a couple of things that I want you to do. Number one, I want you to take a short quiz so that you can test your understanding of the stock market. You can test your understanding of how much you have grasped from this video using this short quiz. And second thing is actually a very interesting assignment. So do you know what is the best way of learning something new? The best way of learning something new is to actually teach it, right? So Nobel Prize winning physicist named Richard Feynman, he introduced a technique called the Feynman technique, in which he said that if you want to learn something new, just teach it, right? So this is what I want you to do. Pick someone from your family or your friends. It can be your son, daughter, husband, wife, your parents or your friends, and explain them the concepts that you have learned in this video in as simple terms as possible. If you are able to explain them what you have learned, then again congratulations, because now you have educated another person, another loved one. But if you struggle to explain these concepts to them, it means you yourself are not very clear, so which is perfectly fine. So come back to this video, watch this video again, clarify those concepts. But if you still have any questions which you did not get clarity on, ask those questions in the comments below and we will be more than happy to answer your questions. So those are the two things that I want you to do. And that's it for this video. And I really hope that you guys are learning something new and you're understanding in the most practical way possible. And trust me, it takes a lot of time and lot of effort on our part to make these kind of videos. So if you're learning something from it, just give us feedback, like these kind of videos, share them so that we get the right encouragement to keep making more and more of these videos.